What's going on? Let's talk about this. DIYing. Do it yourself. Let's talk about it. After a little bit of some of this. Bam, 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 bam. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so listen. I think there might be a little confusion on your boy. All right, might be a little confusion. Let me help you guys out here. I post those videos about me fixing things because I'm a DIYer and that's it and that's all. I don't have any certifications. All right. I didn't go to school for fixing appliances. How I pretty much got into it, long story short, is I was living in an apartment complex and I ran out of money and wasn't working because I had gotten to a car crash and I had suffered some injuries. So I wasn't working. And I saw my apartment complex, they raised the rent. And when they did, there was a mass exodus. When they did that, people, they went in and remodeled all of these apartments. And one of my neighbors was one of the ones who left when they started throwing away all of the, kitchen, the bathroom, a bunch of metal. So they threw out the appliances, the refrigerator, the stove, the dishwasher, sometimes the kitchen sink, the kitchen cabinets. So when I seen a refrigerator sitting in the front yard for the garbage, I asked the people who worked, I said, hey, can I have this? And they said, yes. So I took the stove, I took the refrigerator, I took the dishwasher. I knew that they all worked. Hell, they even threw away the bathtubs. They threw away the bathroom sinks. I went and got the bathtubs too because I knew that they were all metal. So basically, I took those items, I cleaned them up, and I went on to OfferUp, and then bang. The first refrigerator I sold, I got $80 for it, and I was able to eat off of that. And I never stopped after that. Anyways, I'm not going to go through my whole history of the last 5 years of what I've been doing. Nonetheless, these refrigerators I'm doing now, especially this Whirlpool, I made a lot of videos about it because I learned a lot from this one particular Whirlpool, which is this 4-door Whirlpool. There's a guy that I call up every now and then and say, hey, you got any refrigerators? Matter of fact, I lost his number. I need to find him. And he will sell me refrigerators that are broken. 25, 30, maybe $50. I'll buy them because, hold on a second. Anyways, so the reason why I buy his refrigerators is because even if I can't fix the refrigerator, I can still sell the parts. So I bought 2 refrigerators from him. One of them was that Whirlpool. The other one was a Samsung. I couldn't fix the Samsung because it had a blockage in it. And I didn't have the experience to, get rid of blockages. So I said, scrap it. I started selling it for parts. Hell, I've made $200 off of it, more than $200 off of it, just in parts. I just sold one part last week for $136. Plus, their shipping. I mean, that was just one part. I still have, the whole fridge, still sitting there, So I took, what I did was I dismantled the refrigerator and then I took pictures of it and then I, put it up for sale on eBay. So, it's a nice little side hustle, just people are looking for parts for refrigerators. and I have, four refrigerators sitting back there. So sometimes I just sell them for parts if I can't fix them. As far as that Whirlpool is concerned, when I got it, I didn't know what was wrong with it. I knew that the compressor worked, you know, plugged it in, heard the compressor kick on. I said, okay, this is good. Went and tried to force freeze it. It would only get down to like 50 degrees in the refrigerator, uh, you know, 50 degrees in the fridge. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. This is a bottom freezer, so the cold comes from the bottom to the top. So we have a problem with the freezer if the whole thing is not getting cold. So basically, after pushing the buttons doesn't work, then you start analyzing what else could it be. Could it be the computer system? Well, it wasn't. So the first thing I usually do is say, okay, well, let me go to the back panel and take off both the back panels, look at the computer first, see if it's going to give me any information or if it's going to get, because all fridges have self-diagnosis. So you want to do that, see if you can get a diagnosis from it. uh, when it comes to Whirlpool, Whirlpool, Samsung, they're right there on the front. You can just push a couple buttons, and if you know what you're trying to diagnose, you can just go through the numbers. It's like 70 numbers, but you can make it do certain things to make it kick on. If you want both the fans to kick on, you can program it to do that, and it'll go through those motions and stuff like that. Well, if it does that and it still isn't getting cool, there's a few things you learn. One, the computer works. You learn that. Then if the fans are coming on, you're like, boom, the fans are coming on. So that was my first thing. Are both of these fans coming on? Is the fan and the freezer working? So boom, did that, heard the fan and the freezer working. I know the fan in the fridge works. I can hear it. Boom, problem solved with the fans. You're not having a problem with that. Another thing is what a lot of people miss is the electricity coming out of their sockets. I know my sockets are doing 120. I've had a lady sell me a fridge. She said, I don't know what's wrong with it. It was a brand new fridge. She got rid of it. I came home, bring it home, plugged it right in, fridge, boom, just fine. What was the problem? Her sockets. Okay. Anyways, with this Whirlpool, I went and listened to the compressor. I hear the compressor winding up. I checked the high side and the low side as far as where the coolant is going in and out. The high side is where the coolant is going, is the suction side. Okay. The low side is the return side. The high side is, and you guys can correct me on that, I don't care. The low side is where you're going to put your Freon into. Okay. So basically your low side should be cool. Okay. And your high side should be warm. All right. So basically, I hooked up a bullet valve to it and said, all right, let's see what the problem is. And once I looked at my gauge, it instantly told me what the problem is. There's not enough Freon in here. So I got some Freon. I looked on the compressor to see how much Freon it takes, what kind of Freon it takes. You want to do that too, because you can have two refrigerators of the same year take two different gases. One of them takes 600A and another one to take 134A. So mine took 134A. So I'm like, boom, I go get some 134A. You can pick up 134A hell out of gas station. It's the same thing that goes into your car. It's the same refrigerant. It's no different. 600A, you're going to have to go to an appliance place and buy that, or you can get it online. So anyways, I got some 134A, hooked it up, boom, put some Freon in it to its specifications. The Freon came back out of it. What does that tell me? There's a leak in there somewhere. I went back on the YouTube, tried to figure out how to take this refrigerator apart. So it took me a long time to learn this stuff. And once I finally got the refrigerator apart, I ordered a leak detector, which I'm so glad that I did. $19 off on Amazon. Worth it, and more worth it. I also went and got me some Big Blue bubbles. You can also use Dawn or something, dishwashing liquid for bubbles, but I got some Big Blue. Anyways, so I eventually, long story short, found out where the leak was, but I also had to buy some dye. So I bought some 3-in-1 dye. This dye it comes in a container like this. It's narrow. It goes right into your bullet valve. So you can boom right into the suction side, boom, right into the bullet valve. And then you put your Freon right on the end of that. And what you want to do, or you put your gauge on the end of that. So your Freon should be here, your gauge should be here, and then your hose should be here. And then you have your connection with your 3-in-1. And it's a dye. Sometimes it's green, yellow, or it's purple. But nonetheless, your 3-in-1 is going to go into your system in the suction side. It's going to go into the system. It's going to go all the way up through the system. And wherever there's a leak at, it's going to start, coming out. So then you get yourself a black light and some of those goggles. And once you have yourself a black light and your leak detector, then you can go through all your system and try to figure out exactly where it is. I eventually found mine. It was hard to find, but I found it. And it was leaking so bad that I could hear it. So I put my finger over it and I can hear it. And it's basically where the condenser was welded together. That's in the refrigerator. So what was happening is Freon was coming up remember, it starts from the bottom to the top because it's a bottom freezer. And it was coming through the bottom and it was going up through the top and it was leaking out. So the whole system would not get, too cold because it was constantly leaking. That 3-in-1 did not, just tell y'all right now, that 3-in-1 did not work. I had other leak sealant, Freon I purchased. None of those worked. The leak was so bad that nothing was going to work. So I was thinking I'm going to have to solder it. So I got some soldering stuff and I was going to buy a soldering iron, but then I saw somebody use some fluid mix in it, pretty much sealed a pipe. And I was like, let me use that. I went to the gas station and found some JB Weld. And I said, this is the same stuff. I went, mixed it up, put some on there. It didn't work because I had too much Freon in the system. See, I'm a novice. I'm not a pro at this. So what you have to do is you have to take some of the Freon out to relieve the pressure. So I took a bunch of the Freon out, and I don't have a recovery can either. So this was costing me. Every time I let Freon out, it's costing me money. So what do I need now? I need a recovery can. I need to do this the right way if I'm going to keep doing it. And I'll probably go on Amazon and get me a recovery can. But nonetheless, and if you get a recovery can, remember, you need one for each gas. You can't mix your gas. So nonetheless, boom, I take Freon out. It alleviates the pressure. I put the JV Weld over it. Within a day, it seals right up. Boom. I turn the refrigerator back on, put Freon into it, and it worked. Long story short. And then I got rid of the dye connector, had to take that off because Freon was leaking through that, and Freon was leaking through my bullet valve into my high pressure hose. So, that's why I'm making these videos, so you guys can learn from them. All right. So if you're not interested, you're not interested. But there are a lot of people who are at home. A lot of them, my clients go through this stuff. They don't know what's going on. But you can now I can just refer you to a video. Or now, because I know, I can just tell you what's going on instead of charging you. Now, if I don't know what's going on and I have to come find out what's going on, I'm going to charge you $100 to come and find out what's going on. But I've learned so much just by doing it myself. And costing me a bunch of money, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, you know what I'm saying? But I learned a lot. Now I can take a refrigerator and say, hey, somebody threw this away. Let me see what's going on. Like, I just tried that. Now, it didn't work because that refrigerator had a lot of problems and I didn't want to put a lot of money into it. And it was a top freezer. I put some Freon into it. Okay. But it also had a leak. and the heater was disconnected. So there's that. And then the computer system was kind of messed up with it. So it would have just took too much to replace it and then only sell it for 150 bucks. I would have put 200 bucks into it. Anyways, so there it is, people. DIYing your refrigerator. There's a lot of people who are doing it. But if you got any questions, you can ask me about it and I'll let you know. Peace.